Peace, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Kush Konvos Podcast, the podcast of the African diaspora. I'm your host, Ochanda, daily bringing you something to talk about. And of course, I'm with my co-host, Wuriem. What do we got going on today, big dog?
You know, I always say we have a very special episode every time.
Yeah.
Today we really truly have a monumental,
legendary.
That's so sweet.
We love to give flowers at Kush Konvos, and you know, we got into this content creation space, and before us, you know, some people know us as a South Sudanese, one of the first South Sudanese podcasts. But I will say, Ladies of Sosa, they were pioneers in this space. So
They push a P?
yeah, pushing pride.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, we're reporting live from South Sudanese Hollywood. Of course, we had to come here.
Dallas, Texas.
We had to come here, right?
Where specifically are we at, big dog?
Triple D? Is that
Triple D. Dallas, Texas.
Absolutely. So
Big D.
I'm going to let these ladies introduce themselves, right? Like, this is a special episode. This is Ladies of Kush / Men of Sosa episode.
Oh, I love that. That's a real collab. That was nice.
And this is hopefully one of many. So before we get into it, I'm going to let the ladies introduce themselves. Go ahead with Christina first.
Well, welcome to Dallas, Texas.
Thank you.
The Big D.
Always
The
welcome.
best city in Texas, if I
pissed me off. I
may
love you.
proclaim myself. I know a lot of smoke behind that.
Absolutely.
There's a few.
But yes, my name is Christine. I'm one half of Ladies of Sosa Podcast, and we're so honored to finally collab with Kush Konvos. We've been kind of like supporting each other back and forth over the last, like, I don't know, a few months or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to meet you guys in person, and we're so excited to see what it's like to shoot with y'all.
Yeah. My name is Sarah, the other half of the Ladies of Sosa podcast, and this was long overdue.
Yes.
We're super excited to actually be collabing, and I think this is a testament to how like South Sudanese can support each other in the long run. Like, it's not competition; it's literally us coming together. There's not enough media for us to compete with each other, truthfully. So like, we have to come together and showcase like, you know, what are we missing as Ladies of Sosa? Like, what could we contribute to you guys as Kush Konvos? And on our last episode on Ladies of Sosa, you guys,
Check that out.
yes, you guys can watch that episode. You guys dropped gems about like y'all's experience, the South Sudanese experience in Omaha, Nebraska, which we were not even privy to. So, you know, we could all learn from each other, and I think, you know, we're so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And like, let's continue this. Let's go.
Get into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
What we got up?
So today, thank you guys for joining us. And first, it feels so great to be in Dallas. When we left Omaha, it was
It was dark, huh?
well.
But now we see the light.
They say that the dark brings terror and horrors, right? And when we arrived in Dallas, not only I'd say prior to the Oklahoma-Texas state line, we stopped at a gas station. I was out there without a sweatshirt, and I felt good. I felt like I could swag surf like at that rest area
Not the swag, sir.
because of like how good the weather is.
Yeah.
And you know, we had just been outside. It feels great. The hospitality has been great. You know, you guys have welcomed us with open arms, and thank you. So
Thank you guys. Thank you.
with that being said, we're both podcasters, right?
Yes, we are.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Right. Okay, we're not.
We just started
We
6
don't
months
pretend.
ago. We're brand new podcasters.
I don't believe that.
We haven't been doing that with you guys. Yeah, we're 6 months in the game.
6 months.
Yeah, we're 6 months in the game.
6 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys know the good, the bad, and the ugly of podcasting, right?
We do.
So that's what we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
man. The good, the bad, and the ugly of podcasting. We'll start off with the good. How good does it feel to tell people that you guys have a podcast?
Ooh.
That's not good?
Because I feel like podcasting has a bad rep.
That's what I was gonna say.
It does
Yeah.
now, yes.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
Yeah, so telling people you have a podcast isn't necessarily like, oh, people are gonna be like joyous about it. It's like, okay, wow, you and a million other
Yeah,
people.
you're lame.
Right? It's like an oversaturated
Yeah.
market.
Yes, it is.
So it's like everybody wants to do podcasting. Like, that's like, you know, the narrative.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and then also I feel like a lot of the podcasting space, like people always think it's like you're talking about pop culture or
Dating,
like
gender
dating,
wars.
dating, gender wars, celebrities. So you always get that rub of like talking about. I think podcasting, the reputation that people have is like low vibrational.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like nobody's talking
Clickbait.
Nobody's talking about anything important. It's like people who just want to be seen. So breaking out of that stereotype, I mean, I didn't go into the podcasting space with that mindset, but getting in there now, like, and seeing the narrative, it's like, oh, okay, this is a difficult, like, you know, area to navigate just because of that, like, that stamp on you. But I mean, we'll go into like deeper, but I want everybody to kind of get their thoughts.
Yeah, and I feel the same. It's like whenever you tell people I have a podcast, it's like, okay, like, you know, they kind of scoff, and it's just like,
You and a million
okay,
other
like that's literally you and a million other people. So I just think it's like, sometimes I don't even bring it up because then I have to explain, but we're different because we talk about things from a South Sudanese perspective.
And it sounds like
you know?
it's so like you're reaching almost
It's like,
prove for your worth and value to someone that doesn't.
And everybody thinks they're different, but yeah.
And then sometimes I hear like, oh, I have one too, and it's like, oh, okay. But then you give it back, it's like, of course. Right, yeah. So I feel like it's like people kind of stereotype you and think that you probably produce like the same content they've been seeing online, and you know all the comments about podcasts, like abolish podcasts and all that type of stuff. So
People say that.
yeah.
Abolish podcast.
People will come under our own comments and be like, I'm so sick of this podcast, cancel this podcast, sign up to delete this podcast.
Sign up.
Yeah.
People make websites against.
I've seen comments like over the last 6 months, I've seen literally people calling to like delete or get rid of the podcast.
Weird.
I will speak to that in two ways. Yes, there was like one side, like when we were doing like a certain type of content about like South Sudanese issues. Some people were like, who asked for a South Sudanese podcast? And these are I'm gonna be real, these were South Sudanese people saying this.
Yeah.
They were like, who asked for a South Sudanese podcast? Did anybody ask for this? Did y'all ask for this? Nobody asked for this. Like, we gotta get, like, you know, they had that energy. And then when we started doing different content, let's keep it real, Chrissy. When we started doing different content that was outside of the sphere of South Sudanese content, people were like, I was worried to listen to this, but I'm glad I listened. And they were like, I was ready to like chastise this content until I heard it. And they were like, there was like videos of people saying like, this content can stay, this podcast can stay.
That's true.
So it's so interesting to see like the difference of perspective. Like, I don't want to make it seem like there's no support.
Yeah, of course, like 99% is support. But
Yeah.
I feel like people were saying, oh, these people sound American. Why are they speaking on South Sudanese issues? That was part of it too. Like, oh, like why are they trying to speak like American, like Black American, like trying to like other us as, I always say this third culture kid. It's like we can't fit in back home with South Sudanese. And then here in America, it's like, well, we're not, you know, so it's like, oh, there's the people from South Sudan are like, who are these? Like, they're trying to talk white, they're trying to sound white, and all this. So it's like, dang, like,
and then when we talk about different other topics, then we'll get it like a different audience. I'll be like, thank you guys.
Yeah.
They can keep their mics.
Yeah.
We this is the content that we support. So we get both sides of it, you know. Yeah, so
you guys do well. Your numbers, you guys, I think on average every episode is about 1,000, at least 1,000, right?
on YouTube, yeah.
On YouTube, right? So people are clearly seeing the value in what you guys say. You know, as also a South Sudanese-based podcast, we're men, so we actually don't get those comments, right? And I don't know if it's because, you know, the men is a little different, right? Like, if you disrespect, like, there's going to be there's some kind of consequence behind it, right? So, do you think being women, you guys face more backlash for some of the takes that you guys are saying that you guys may have on some certain issues?
Because we're women, like
that. The way you framed that was actually.
I never thought of it.
I never thought of it like that. Like, I feel like what you're saying is like people are maybe more comfortable stating their opinion. Yeah, like they're more comfortable stating their opinion, which is why we get more engagement because they're like, this is a woman-based a podcast. Nobody's gonna take it into offense, like what I say, and like maybe so.
I don't think people know most of the time because I realize that our audience a lot of the time they just happen across our content. It's not necessarily people who are like from Dallas, or we don't have a lot of people that like know us directly who support us. It's just like people who the internet just brings
but it's Ladies of Sosa.
Right.
So they see
but I feel like I don't think that they're more comfortable. I think also we're discrediting the fact that Ladies of Sosa was already a brand before the podcast.
Absolutely.
So even though it wasn't a huge brand, we kind of did as far as our community.
I'm sorry, y'all gotta big yourself up. You can't say I want to be a brand because I heard about y'all since early 2000s.
Wow.
I'm not big myself, but somewhere in the mid 2000s.
Wait,
Y2K.
are you 50?
No.
No? Are you sure? What about you?
Black on that.
But
No.
what I'm saying is like, you guys brought value to the community maybe at the time. I just think like we were in a place where the content creation was as big as it is now. And I think you guys are reaping off of, well, you guys are elevating, but you guys are reaping off the past work that you guys have done.
I
The
agree.
branding that you guys have done.
I agree.
Yeah.
And honestly, as women, I don't feel like people are lenient. I feel like people are a lot harsher sometimes with their criticism of us when it comes to our appearance because we're women.
Really?
So like
Did
because
someone talk about your appearance before?
Every day.
well they all
every episode.
yeah, so it's like a big comment is like the type of hair that we have, like talking about like wearing wigs and stuff.
Natties?
And then they're like, oh, the makeup, you know, like, but it's mostly the wig. So I feel like because when you're a woman, like your appearance is always such an integral part. Like I feel like in any profession, not even just podcasting, like any type of career, it's like how you look, like is a big part of like how you're perceived. So they will attack, like even when we bring our friends onto the podcast for a female perspective, they will also attack like them in the same way, like comments about the hair or however they choose to do their makeup.
Only if they don't like what you're saying.
Yeah. So I feel like it might seem like we're getting lenient, like or support, but at the same time, people are a lot more critical of like us in a more personal way that can translate off camera sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I'm trying to understand it from both sides because I can see it from both sides because we're a woman-based podcast. I think
sometimes you can use your like your femininity in a way to kind of retract, like but we don't do that on purpose.
But I can see that perspective.
First start them now is not getting the same amount of likes. Just to be honest.
So maybe in that sense,
yeah, I can see that. But we
don't purposely like go out.
Obviously, but like I can see what you're saying.
Like maybe because it's like a female like centered and like you post certain.
We are very aesthetic people. Like we love to post an aesthetic
pleasing thumbnail. Everything has to be aesthetically pleasing. We think consciously about that. So maybe that does help. I don't know.
Maybe people can drop down in the comments and tell us.
Yeah. Or maybe we're more approachable, like you said, because we're women. People will feel like, okay, I'll comment on it. Like guys, especially.
Exactly. We'll comment on it as a woman. I'm not gonna go to a man's podcast and talk heavy.
It's happened before.
Maybe, but I'm not sure. Like that's like
typically, people don't. I don't. Maybe they respect men. Another good part about this podcasting is you guys talked about like people can tear each other down, people can build. I talked about it on your guys' show. My biological parents, especially my biological dad. All respect due to dads. Is a Kenyan, and then my stepfather is actually South Sudanese. So I have both experiences. I represent two awesome places, and that brings communities together. One, at least two of my DJs are Kenyan. So oftentimes, like our South Sudanese crowd, they're hearing it from two Kenyans, number one MC in the game.
Okay.
We to stick on the good side. What's become good with podcasting is branding. You guys are Ladies of Sosa. I asked Max, and Max told me to ask you guys on this episode because I asked him privately. Is Sosa like Chief Keef, Love Sosa, Raw, Reason Roll?
Y'all put that in one of your episodes. I saw that. Yeah. I love that. I love how y'all put that as the intro with the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ladies of Sosa. I know Chief Keef loves Sosa. Are you guys related to Chief Keef?
Of course
might.
not.
So what is
We might
Sosa?
be.
What does Sosa come from? If it's not from Mr. 300.
It goes way back
It goes-
before, yeah, and
So-
I'll let Sarah.
No, go ahead, Kristen. You got it. You
Well-
sounded like you was ready.
No, I was gonna let you pop it
okay.
off, but I'll add context for like where it came from as far as back in Egypt.
Right. So from my understanding,
In Egypt.
yes. So from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sosa was a term used for like the college students who were in school in Egypt, and they called themselves Sosa. They actually had an organization.
South Sudanese students?
Yes, South Sudanese students. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. To elaborate, so it's like South Sudanese students in Egypt who were a part of like the Egyptian school system. They called themselves like Sosa, and there's probably like a deeper story, but it was like a slang, like a term,
Okay,
you
to
know,
identify
South
The
Sudanese.
international South Sudanese students.
Exactly.
Wow. So
Yeah.
there was international students of South Sudanese origin in Egypt.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And those are
If you wanna, hey, listen, what you guys don't know, she's been on my case since the beginning. What's up, big dog? What's up?
Oh, okay, yeah. There
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I feel like we're the same energy on the podcast. Like,
Bro, you don't get that
I'm
same energy.
you. I'm you on my podcast, and y'all here.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're more
Right. I'm like,
Why So,
Yeah.
why I say that is because often when we come across international African students in the United States, they come from African countries that will cover, right? Like oftentimes Egyptian students have like their cost of attendance and extracurriculars, shisha, covered, right? So it's amazing to me that hear that there's international South Sudanese students, because oftentimes the global view of South Sudan is refugees everywhere.
right.
You know, like no businesses.
Right.
People are just being fed by non-governmental organizations, NGOs and nonprofits. So
Yeah. I love how you put that
Actually,
in
to add
perspective.
context, my parents went to university in Egypt, and that was back. I don't want to date them, but that was back then. So
Okay.
yeah, my dad actually I'll have to send you guys the acronym. I have to ask my dad one more time because I forgot exactly what it stands for.
Yeah.
But it was a student organization from Egypt for the South Sudanese students, and he was actually the president of it at some point in time. So
What?
yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a real term. We didn't just pull it
it's
out
a
of our
real
ass.
term, and that's
Yeah.
why even when
So
we moved
sad.
here, a lot of students or a lot of like aunties and uncles knew my dad from back in the time who lived in Egypt or maybe went to school, and he was their, I guess, president of that organization at that time. So there are international students. Egypt is the bordering Sudan, so a lot of, not just my dad or my parents, but a lot of people who migrated here went to university school right in Egypt because of the proximity to Sudan.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a big thing.
So
Yeah.
basically, there's not a necessary acronym or appropriate acronym.
There's
for
an
SOSA?
exact acronym for it.
Is it?
I don't want to say it wrong.
I think it's just a
I will send it
term.
to you
I think it's
guys
just like a
post-
slang.
Post edit,
edit,
and then you
uh-huh.
can just post it. But
Yeah.
my dad told me before.
There
I
is
just
one.
don't like, remember it, so I
Yeah.
don't want to like say it wrong.
Yeah,
I know what
yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
Oh, so you know it?
Yeah, my uncles and I have several family members that came from Egypt, of
Right.
course, right? And they would always tell me about like, Skidavia, Sosa this, Egypt this, so I've
Yeah.
heard it. Of course, they take
Yeah.
a lot of pride. One
They
thing I know
do.
is They take a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to your father for, first and foremost, organizing. It's very important to organize ourselves. When you're in another country and I hate to use the word refugee and displaced, but that's what it was. So it's really important for us to always organize. And I want to talk about something else because, not something else, but if we could do that in Egypt, America, what organizations do we have for South Sudanese? What do we have collectively right now? Outside of the times when we party together,
The thing is, in Egypt, I feel like Egypt, they have their own unique, nuanced struggle with the South Sudanese people do. We always hear the stories of like the discrimination, the racism. Like now we're hearing like, yes, the terminology. Now we're even hearing worse things about like the organ trade, like all of that stuff. So they have their own unique struggle. So it's like it's more important to them. Maybe cut that out because I ain't trying to have no smoke with nobody. But I mean, if it's open, whatever. If it's an open thing, but like,
we got you.
yeah. So I mean, like, so there's like they have their own like unique struggle that's like so like important for them to stick together. Where I feel like some South Sudanese people come to America and they can like kind of fit in everywhere. You know, you can fit in with, you know, the African Americans, but if you want to be the chocolate black girl, the black girl, you can fit in with white people too. You can kind of fit in every space, and if you can learn if you understand the language, if you can speak English fluently, if you went to school. So like we were starting to fit in different spaces where we don't feel like we need community anymore.
I'm gonna counter that a little bit.
I want to hear it. I want to hear
just a little bit, because as a South Sudanese person, I feel the opposite sometimes. I feel like we don't fit in anywhere. Like, because of our features, our aesthetics, or our skin color, I feel like, yeah, you can fit in, but you're always going to stand out. And that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, I agree with you, but at the same time, we do have another struggle just because we're so unique in our identity.
Yeah.
Like, we stand out in any room. I can see my people. I can look and be like, oh, that person's probably South Sudanese. And I get excited, but like, you stand out. So I feel like even though you can kind of assimilate in a way, you'll never 100% like just fully blend in, because you're always gonna
stand out regardless. Yeah, I hear you on that.
So I want to talk a little bit about the band. You know, I seen you guys' growth. I think the first time I noticed you guys, and I don't want to put no date on it, right? But it was somewhere in the 2000s, right? And you guys had a lot of members. It was like,
ooh, you messy. He messy. I'm just kidding. No, it's
really?
I'm just
there used to be more of you.
Oh, okay.
Have 3 members.
Oh.
For people that, you know, the one who used to have 3 members. So I seen not only infrastructure change, but I've seen the members change. And you don't have to get into that, but
we will, honey. This is the Kush Konvos. We're gonna get into it.
Freely here,
Yeah.
So, what are some of the difficulties having a podcast with multiple members? Let's just say it's just multiple. I don't want to put a number on it.
Yeah.
Multiple members.
Um.
And we'll also speak on this.
Yes.
Just so y'all don't feel like y'all getting put out.
No, my only struggle is like not wanting to talk too much, because everybody has there's a time constraint to come. Because I'm like, I can go all day on this topic.
So I can start.
Right. Yeah. No, I know I can talk about it. I can talk about it.
Feel free to talk.
I just don't want to talk too long, because this can go on for days. Long story short, I think the difficulty with having like a lot of members is like, yes, number one, the work ethic. Like, if not everybody, you can have this idea of like having, because that was our logo, 5 girls, 5 different tribes.
That was a doozy. Like they could say.
It was. I feel like it was a great logo, but then it's like, are all the 5 girls and all the 5 different tribes going to have the same work ethic? You know. Yeah. So if they're not, and then you guys start to have like, okay, well, if you're not going to show up to the shoot, or if you don't have time for meetings, or blah blah blah, then we're gonna have to cut down the girls. And then now you know it's like a Dinka girl, one Equatorian girl, Newark girl. It's like, oh, okay, so the tribe, now you're tribalist.
Yeah,
right.
You know our people, right?
Right.
You know our people.
Because of like, just because of work dynamics.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like now you're tribalist, and like y'all cut them off because y'all it's either you tribalist or you messy. It's like they come up with something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is the difficult part, because it's like you can have like normal like work like issues, and you could still be cool, because we're still cool with all the girls.
Absolutely.
Personally.
It's really good. That's really good.
But like,
because that doesn't happen often.
yeah, and a lot of girls, it's not even that we have to cut them out. It's like a lot of them, life happened. Like they had children, they had to have a job that was more demanding. So it was like, okay, I can't do this season, or I can't do Ladies of Sosa anymore because of this and that. But then people don't care about that.
No.
They just look at it.
No.
They just look at it as like
That's
a negative.
boring. Yeah.
It's a boring. It's like they look at it as like a negative thing. But I think that's the complicated part of having a lot of people in your group. Is like you have to answer to everything. You have to answer to tribe as South Sudanese. You have to answer to like being messy. Like, oh, we're not messy. It's not about mess. It's about like I don't want to answer to anybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Truthfully.
And and I'll speak a little bit. Ochanda, you can chime in as well. Eric's been with us from the beginning, so he's seen
Eric's our camera guy.
our cameraman.
Hey, what's up, big dog?
Our African American
Elevated visuals.
He's
What's
been there
up?
with us the whole time.
He about to be our camera guy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Can you?
I'm just kidding.
Hey, Mike, bro,
We
you
also have a new
that's your second strike, big dog. What's up?
Right? Go ahead.
Oh, they're trying to steal your time. Hold on.
We're swapping out.
Hold on. No, we're not swapping nothing.
None of that.
So,
We negotiate? Okay, that's good.
so
Kush Konvos and Ladies of Sosa, bro. Real quick.
It's
2 on
beef
2.
after the episode is over.
Period.
smoke. But,
Big smoke.
with us personally, you know, like I said, we have a third member, and that's our brother. You know, I personally, I love that brother to death. I'll do anything for him, right? But you know, when you start anything with a group of people, right? Let's just say 4 people, right? Eric, one of the first meetings we had, right? We sat down and we kind of wrote down like, what is our goals with this, right? And in the beginning, everything was clear, but I was excited, like, oh, like, yeah, we're gonna take it to the top.
That's how it always is.
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna ride till the wheels fall off, right? And then like things get tough, things get difficult. Like it's a process. You gotta build your brand. As you guys know, you gotta start building your brand a long time ago, right? Not to date anything, but you gotta start building your brand. Y'all been in the game. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being
A
on
long
brand,
time.
right?
Since college, Christine.
Since those days.
College days.
Yeah, it's Denton, right?
That's
Calm
dating
down.
it without dating it.
Right.
How long ago was that?
All right.
The emphasis is dating it.
Like everybody has to be pretty much want the same thing and have the same, like you said, work ethic. All these things. People think they can start a podcast because, oh, me and my friends, we talk all the time. Like, all I gotta do is turn on the camera and like it's a podcast.
They literally
right?
think that, yeah.
That's what they think.
That's true.
They don't know that it's so much investments. Like you guys have your strategist right here. Y'all can't see her, and y'all gotta pay extra or whatever. That's on Patreon.
Say
Not
it.
trying to see our strategist.
Say it.
So
Say it to see
there's
somebody
teams,
else's.
There's teams. There's people that we have our cameraman. We have our. He was doing everything for us in the beginning. He was pretty much doing exactly what Ventana's doing. You know,
Yeah.
the same level, and you have to invest in those people. Like you have to take care of those people. It's not just you and your homies just kicking it and recording. It's a business, you know. Like y'all have your strategists here for a weekend. You understand what I'm saying? And even us, we gotta cut this episode short. Not short, but like there's things that are going on outside that you guys don't see, you guys don't know. Anybody that's out there, like you talked earlier about the young Ochanda, any one of you guys, these Gen Zs or whoever, you know, want to start a podcast, it's like it's a business. Man. It's a business. You gotta invest.
You know, the bad, whoever this young Ochanda or young Maxwell is, just start a podcast by yourself. Why I say this, as much as I love my brother Max, and I do, right? When you're by yourself, hear me out. When you have more than one other person, like he said, scheduling. Yeah, well, I smoke a spliff with my guy every day. Hey, we have a drink. Hey, we go to the gym. Hey, we ride bikes. Whatever it is, hey, we steal vehicles out of a certain parking lot every single day. When it comes to actual scheduling of that thing, whether illicit or a righteous thing that you're doing, when you have a schedule on that, now like it gets weird. Now that person that you're like, oh man, it's usually about 1 p.m. that like he comes over to my house. You might not see him until 3, and then excuses like, oh well, hey, the car did this. Hey, my ex-girl did that. Or hey, my mom wanted me to get tomatoes for jollof rice, like on this. I say do it by yourself. If you're gonna do it with a group, no more than 2. What happens is not only the scheduling, but like, bro, financial issues come about. Even the potential, right? One thing about YouTube is that, unlike TikTok, it takes a lot longer. On TikTok, you can make 5 videos, and one of those 5 videos can reach 100,000 views. YouTube, to make 5 videos, I think it's going to reach 100,000 views. Unless you're a celebrity already, your chances are slim. So, if you guys have like a club basketball team, and somebody says, I know an artist, we can create a logo for our jerseys, it's usually done without any resistance and any pushback. To create a logo for your group's podcast. Now people are like, Who's that artist? How come I didn't speak to that artist? I need to oversee this. Hey, can we get a second and third and fourth view on like that logo? Different, they kind of touched on it, but they didn't outright say it. With a podcast, there are so many chiefs, so many people talking, and not enough people listening, and that's fine. But like, unlike anything else, like, as much as other people think like, yeah, it's just talking, it's more than that. If you really want to make money from it, you're gonna have to consider other people's feelings, other people's time, and other people's money in consideration. Nah, that's just, yeah.
You said it all.
My bad, man.
No, you said it.
So like with our brother that he had talked about, any of your guys that have prior arrangements, let them be them. Like just like let's say like you know, some of us like play like in these like summer soccer leagues, right? And have a 9 to 5. Some of us that like might have whatever prior arrangements for like that soccer league, can you really like depend on that player? No, you already know where they stand. And so the same thing with like a podcast. Like let's say like somebody's like, hey, I work a job that like has me working remote, but it has me working hybrid, and I have to like go to that place, and it's a place that's 4 hours away.
Yeah.
You might not be able to rely on that person to record every single weekend.
I agree with that. I mean, yeah, like just like designating roles. Is that what you're saying?
Man, yes, but really putting in consideration that everybody has a separate life.
Yeah.
And what's going to cause a person to be the most frustrated is to thinking like, man, I see this person every other day. No, you don't. You see that person when
it's convenient.
Yeah, when it's convenient.
Yeah.
And it's usually nonsense. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot with this person. Yeah, I'm going to smoke this spliff with that person. That's not real. It's not real. But like, hey, I can count on this person to be here at 12 p.m. Saturday afternoon and be able to... Another thing, people think like it's just talking. When the director or whoever's behind the camera says like, hey, it's going to take me about 10 to 15 minutes to sit you guys down and do the mic check, there are some people that can't sit there for even like 10 seconds.
Yeah, because they don't understand the value of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, y'all being for real just for us to talk. Like, yeah. Some people don't see the value, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, podcasting is not for everybody.
No,
it's not a hard job. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's so serious, like, you know, like rocket science. But it's also not for everybody. Not everybody's meant for podcasting, and I think that's why a lot of people don't succeed in it, because everybody thinks like, oh, you're just talking, like, so I can do it, like, you know, or my friends just said a great point, we need to start a podcast, and it's really not necessarily about that.
I used to do that too.
Yeah, we do. I'm guilty of that too.
Well,
like just having girlfriends talking, I'm like, we need to start a podcast.
Right, yeah.
But we're not talking about shit for real. Like,
I mean, good points were made.
But like this, like you have to have a podcast with a direction and a niche. Like, I think that is the main.
And think of it as a business.
Right. Think of it as a business, and also have a direction. And also, I think having a niche market is very, very important with podcasting.